Welcome again to Joe Stunner Boxing. This is going to be a very brief video because I mentioned in my previous video, which was about Jake Paul and how I think his fights aren't rigged. They just don't need to be rigged. The level of opposition is so pathetic, so appalling. It is, here comes, the circus is in town. It's so laughable and embarrassing and a sort of pastiche of what boxing is supposed to be. That was what that video was about. But I did mention that this has spilled over into the boxing, for want of a better term, real world. Why do I say that? Because Jake Paul is ranked at number 14 in the WBA's rankings, which we all know is complete and utter. It's so laughable. It's the type of thing you don't even want to mention, because simply by mentioning it, you're giving it some sort of perverse credibility. But nevertheless, it's a fact. He is ranked number 14 by the WBA and therefore is eligible, this is at cruiserweight, is eligible to fight none other than Zurdo Ramirez, which of course he won't do because he wouldn't last a round. He would be splashed all over the place. But now, you know what would happen if Jake Paul faced anyone even approaching world level cruiserweight. Yet somehow he finds himself ranked at 14, having beaten a 58-year-old Mike Tyson, 58 years old, who hadn't fought for 20 years and looked shot to bits when he did. He beat a, weed-smoking Julio Cesar Chavez Jr., who once upon a time held a gifted WBC middleweight title. And in the moment he stepped up and started fighting, legitimate opposition that was his size, because he was an extremely big middleweight, he got found out. So those are his two last fights. He's beaten MMA fighters like Nate Diaz. He's beaten guys who've never had a fight before. I'm talking about in the boxing ring, And he's lost to Tommy Fury. Tommy Fury being a fighter who probably isn't good enough to win an area title in the UK. And yet there he is, number 14 in the rankings. Inexplicable. I mean, so intelligence insulting that I can barely find the words. And I'm someone who regards himself as being pretty reasonable with words. But what possible justification could there be by putting him in the top 15, unless the only thing I can think of is, well, he's a big name, he generates money, so if you fight him, some of our fighters can get good paychecks, and it is, after all, called prize fighting. Now, of course, I don't fully swallow this bullshit. I mean, that I'm talking here, I'm just saying that I'm just trying to pull something out of my arse, because I'm just so mystified as to how anyone can possibly justify putting Jake Paul in the top 150, never mind the top 15. There are good quality cruiserweight journeymen who, give them a proper camp, would beat the shit out of Jake Paul. There are cruiserweight amateurs who'd beat the shit out of Jake Paul. And I have nothing against novices, which Paul definitely is. He is a complete novice. He's learned how to box. He gets into the ring. He's, in that sense, he's got the guts to do that in front of a big crowd. But his career is trash. It's the lowest of low levels. I mean, who's next? They're going to drag Mickey Rourke out of retirement with his ridiculous undefeated record and stick him in with Jake Paul. I mean, he's only 70. Why stop at Mike Tyson and 58? Why not go all the way up to Mickey Rourke and 70 years of age? Who else can he have? I don't know. Why not do a catchweight with Pacquiao? Pacquiao, after all, the WBC in their finite wisdom are going to stick him in with Barrios, which is in itself ludicrous, but at least Pacquiao has a Hall of Fame resume. Jake Paul, I repeat, he'd be hard pushed to win an area title in Britain. Put him in with, I mean, if you put him in, I'm trying to think of names you could put him in. Who do you think would win out of him and Jack Massey? Jack Massey would knock him flat. Vidal Riley, by the way, is I think the WBC have got him in the top 15, which is a bit odd in itself. But who do you think is going to win out of Vidal Riley? British level cruiser and Jake Paul. Jake Paul will get the shit kicked out of him. You know, what do you say to this farce? And when people like Tony Bellew and Carl Froch talk about coming out of retirement and smashing up Jake Paul, they're right. They probably could do it. Even Froch. I mean, Froch is, what is he, 44 now? And he's a much smaller man. Well, he made his bones at 168, of course. Even if you give Jake Paul the weight, Froch isn't some weed smoker. He's not someone who gets out of shape. He's still in shape. He's probably, what is he, probably up to about light heavyweight now, maybe a little bit over, maybe 180. I'd pick Froch to beat Jake Paul without a warm-up. Yeah, anyway. Let me know what you think. I can probably guess what you think, but let me know anyway. And yeah, leave your comments below. Thanks for watching the video. If you liked it, hit the like button. And of course, hit subscribe as well if you don't mind. Thank you very much. Feel free to be as vitriolic as you like. Like I keep saying, it's your channel as much as mine. So both barrels, let it fly. We'll speak soon. Bye for now.